In 1494, a monk named Girolamo Savonarola took control of Florence. He was powerful, loved by the people, feared by the corrupt. He publicly burned luxury goods, called out the Pope by name, and showed every emotion openly: his rage, his passion, his ambitions. The people worshipped him. 4 years later, those same people burned him alive in the same square where he burned their goods. Machiavelli watched the entire thing. He was 25 years old standing in that crowd. And he learned a lesson that he would carry for the rest of his life. What you do in public can build your empire or become your execution. Today I'm breaking down 7 things Machiavelli warned you should never do in public. These aren't opinions. These are laws written in blood by a man who watched power rise and fall with his own eyes. Let's begin. Mistake 1. Never show your anger in public. In 1510, Pope Julius II launched a furious public rant against the Venetian ambassadors during a diplomatic meeting. He screamed. He slammed his fists. He threatened war in front of dozens of witnesses. The ambassadors didn't flinch. They sat in silence, took notes, and reported every word back to Venice. Within weeks, Venice used his outburst to form alliances against him. His own anger became the weapon that united his enemies. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves, but never a mad dog that bites without thinking." When you show anger publicly, 3 things happen simultaneously. First, you reveal what triggers you. Now everyone knows your pressure points. Second, you appear out of control. People don't follow unstable leaders, they exploit them. Third, you give your enemies a performance they can replay and use against you forever. The powerful feel anger. They just never display it in public. They process it privately and respond strategically. Your anger should fuel your next move, not become a public spectacle. Mistake 2. Never complain in public. When Napoleon was exiled to the island of Elba in 1814, stripped of his empire, his army, and his title, he never complained. Not once. Not publicly. Observers reported that he gardened, read books, and reorganized the tiny island's infrastructure as if he were still running France. 10 months later he escaped, marched back to Paris, and reclaimed his throne without firing a single shot. Soldiers sent to arrest him switched sides the moment they saw him. What? Because a man who doesn't complain in defeat is terrifying in return. Now contrast this with leaders who publicly whine about unfair treatment, bad luck, and betrayal. Every complaint broadcasts the same message: I am a victim. I am powerless. Things happen to me and I cannot handle them. Machiavelli understood, the public does not sympathize with power. It only respects it. A leader who complains stops looking like a leader and starts looking like everyone else. And the moment the crowd sees you as ordinary, your authority evaporates. Complain to your journal. Complain to your mirror. Never complain where others can hear. Mistake 3. Never reveal your true intentions publicly. Cesare Borgia, the man Machiavelli studied obsessively and modeled the prince after, was a master of concealed intention. When Borgia wanted to conquer the region of Romagna, he didn't announce his plans. He publicly declared peace. He sent diplomats with gifts. He hosted feasts for the very lords he intended to overthrow. By the time they realized his true intentions, their armies were already surrounded. Their cities had already fallen. The war was over before it began. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." When you announce your goals publicly, whether it's a business plan, a career move, or a personal ambition, you give competitors time to prepare, critics time to attack, and doubters time to discourage you. Psychology backs this up. A 2009 study by Peter Gallwitzer at NYU found that people who publicly announced their goals were significantly less likely to achieve them. The public acknowledgement created a premature sense of accomplishment. Their brain felt the satisfaction of achievement before any work was done. Move in silence. Let your results announce your intentions after the victory, never before. Mistake 4. Never show desperation in public. In 1796, Napoleon was 26 years old, commanding an underfed, unpaid, demoralized French army in Italy. His soldiers were on the verge of mutiny. Supplies were non-existent. Enemy forces outnumbered him 3 to 1. Did he beg for reinforcements publicly? Did he show fear to his troops? No. He stood before his starving army and said, "Soldiers, you are naked and ill-fed. I will lead you into the most fertile plains in the world. Rich provinces and great cities will be in your power." He projected abundance in the middle of scarcity. He projected certainty in the middle of chaos. His soldiers followed him, not because the situation was hopeful but because he refused to appear desperate. Machiavelli warned, desperation repels everything you need. Money, allies, opportunities, respect. They all flow toward confidence and run from neediness. When you publicly show desperation, in negotiations, in relationships, in business, you signal that you have no other options. And a person with no options has no leverage. Even when you're struggling, especially when you're struggling, present strength. The world gives to those who look like they don't need it. Mistake 5. Never display blind trust in public. Machiavelli told the story of Vitellozzo Vitelli and Oliverado da Fermo, two warlords who publicly allied with Cesare Borgia. They trusted him openly. They attended his banquets. They declared their loyalty in front of witnesses. They let their guard down completely. Borgia invited them to a reconciliation meeting in the town of Senigallia. They arrived unarmed, smiling, trusting. That night Borgia had them strangled. Machiavelli didn't tell this story to glorify murder. He told it to illustrate a point: public trust is a vulnerability. When you openly trust someone, when you declare your faith in a business partner, a politician, a friend, in front of everyone, you eliminate your ability to act against them later without looking like a betrayer yourself. The rule: trust selectively. Trust privately. And never place yourself in a position where your public declaration of trust removes your freedom to protect yourself. Trust is earned in private. It should never be performed in public. Mistake 6. Never argue with fools in public. When Machiavelli served as a diplomat for Florence, he watched dozens of powerful men destroy their reputations, not by losing to strong opponents but by engaging with weak ones. A senator debates a fool in public. The crowd doesn't see a senator and a fool. The crowd sees two men arguing. The senator has everything to lose. The fool has everything to gain. The moment you engage, you elevate them to your level and drag yourself down to theirs. Mark Twain captured this perfectly centuries later. Never argue with an idiot. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. In the age of social media, this is more relevant than ever. Every reply to a troll is a promotion for the troll. Every public argument with an irrelevant critic gives the critic an audience they never had before. Your audience. Machiavelli's solution: strategic indifference. Don't respond. Don't acknowledge. Don't even look in their direction. Silence communicates. You are so far beneath me that a response would be charity. That message is louder than any comeback you could ever write. Mistake 7. Never show your full strength in public. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu wrote, "When you are strong, appear weak. When you are near, appear far." Machiavelli echoed this. A prince should never reveal the full extent of his power, his wealth, his army, or his intelligence. When you show everything you have, all your money, all your skills, all your connections, people stop fearing the unknown. And the unknown is where real power lives. Warren Buffett lives in a house he bought in 1958 for $31,000. He drives a modest car. He eats at McDonald's. Meanwhile, he controls over $130 billion. The world's most powerful investor looks like a retired grandfather. That gap between appearance and reality is not accidental. It is strategic. When people underestimate you, they prepare less. They guard less. They fear less. And that's when you strike. Machiavelli watched ruler after ruler fall because they flaunted everything they had: their armies, their alliances, their treasuries. Their enemies studied the display, found the gaps, and attacked precisely where the armor was missing. The final Machiavellian warning is this: the public is not your friend. The public is an audience. And every audience is filled with people who are watching, studying, and waiting for you to reveal something they can use. Your anger? They'll provoke it. Your desperation? They'll exploit it. Your trust? They'll betray it. Your goals? They'll sabotage them. Your full strength? They'll find ways around it. The safest version of you in public is the version that reveals nothing, feels nothing visibly, and gives the crowd absolutely zero material to work with. As Machiavelli wrote, the vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances and the outcome of events. Control the appearance. Control the outcome. Control everything. If this video made you rethink every public mistake you've ever made, smash that like button. Subscribe if you want content that makes you strategically dangerous, not just motivated. Share this with someone who overshares, overexplains, and overreacts in public. They need Machiavelli more than anyone. See you in the next one.